Hey, Fearless Millionaire. In this lesson, I want to tell you about pressure, external pressure, and how pressure can actually be good for you. So I want to share a story with you that happened about 5 years ago. And this situation was life-changing. For 12 years, I've been investing in real estate, and most of the time within those 12 years, I was investing locally. That means I was investing really in the region, anywhere within a 1 hour to 2 hour radius of the city that I was buying properties in. And I've done wholesaling real estate, I've done lease options, I've done some apartments, some quick flips, I've done some rehabs, I've done all kinds of strategies. But one of the things I hadn't done in a good chunk of those years when I was getting started was I didn't buy virtually. That means I didn't buy sight unseen, not being at the location, walking through the property, myself. So about 5 years ago, I did my very first virtual deal. But let me tell you how it went down. So I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time, and I had a good friend who was actually buying real estate virtually all the time. It was like a regular basis for him. It was actually natural. It was actually how he ran his business. So being in his office, and I would see the way he would run his operation, I'm like, man, if he can do it, I can do it, right? I mean, that's essentially what we think about when we look at other people and we see, hey, if that person's doing it, I can do it too. So, and it didn't seem like there was anything much to it, but you know what? It was just the thought. It was like, man, I've never done this before. And I had a lot of questions, and I was a little skeptical too. But I was wondering, like, what if something went wrong? What if the deal wasn't good? What if I got into a bad deal? Or what if the pictures weren't right? What if the pictures that I saw weren't the actual house, right? So I had all these questions, and I needed answers. But you know what I also had to do? I also had to take a step of faith, and that's a really hard thing to do sometimes when you're doing virtual real estate investing. Even if it's your first deal in a whole nother state, or maybe even in a different country that you've never invested in before, it's kind of a learning curve, and you gotta build up not only confidence, but you also have to build trust. So let me tell you some of the strategies that I did right in the beginning to build that confidence and trust in order to do that. So what I did was I found someone who already had experience. That's one of the first things you have to do. Find someone who already has experience. That means you're going to find someone who's already maybe done it virtually, maybe done a virtual closing, or maybe they've already experienced the process of not even ever stepping in, looking into a house. So that's the first thing. Find someone who has experience. Number 2, build a relationship with them. Now, building a relationship comes out all the time, especially in real estate investing. It's always like the number one thing people hear, other investors saying, or coaches saying, hey, you got to build a relationship with someone. You got to build relationships. It's a relationship business. Well, that's very true, but how do you go about doing that? Here's a secret to building some strong relationships. Look for the benefit. Look for the value add. It shouldn't just benefit you, it should benefit both parties. First, think about your potential partner, your potential person that you're going to be working with. And think about, what are they going to gain? How is this going to benefit them? And ask them, what do they want out of the transaction? What do they want out of the relationship? You'll hear those responses, and those are the things you want to focus on. So an example in that story that I'm telling you about the person that I found was someone, one, that had experience and that had already done it virtually. Number 2, I got the response of what did they want? What was their biggest need? And their biggest need was to make money, but in a timely manner. Normally, this person was doing a lot of work, sometimes getting paid for it, and sometimes not. So I knew that mattered to this person, to my potential partner. And then the third and most important thing was to shift trust with protection. All right? Shift trust with protection. Here's what I mean. In real estate, what you definitely, most certainly want on your power team is you want a real estate attorney. Now, most people have this idea of a real estate attorney that they're this big, professional that no one can touch or talk to, or another thing, that they're really super, super expensive. Well, and don't get me wrong, they can be if you hold them on retainer or you go through a lawsuit and all that other stuff. But in a real estate transaction, especially when you're getting started, the fees are not that bad and the costs are not that much compared to if things went really wrong and you weren't protected and you didn't know and you didn't have someone look over your contracts. So keep in mind that it's important to have a good real estate attorney on your team so that you can be prepared and you can have someone that can help look over your documents, your contracts, to make sure that you're not going to get into a bad situation. So that was the third thing that I did. I made sure in a virtual location, now this was hours away, I made sure that I started calling around and contacting a bunch of real estate attorneys so that I could get to know them and they could get to know me before the deal even happened. So that was really important. And when it comes to building relationships, when it comes to building trust and doing deals or any kind of business transaction, the reality is you kind of just got to go with that gut feeling inside. You just got to go with someone that you feel good about. That's what investing is all about. Building relationships is all about that feeling that you just get, that you're like, yeah, I think I can trust this one. And like in all relationships, sometimes it's a good one, sometimes it's just okay, and sometimes it can be really bad. So you have to build those relationships and talk to attorneys, kind of do some interview processes with them, and just get to know a bunch of attorneys. That's exactly what I did until I found the one that I trusted, that sounded like he would have my back, and he had experience in closing real estate deals with virtual investors. So I used those 3 things that were very important to making the whole thing happen. Here's the good news. With the real estate attorney on my team, with the person who already has experience doing it, and with me taking that step of faith and moving forward, I was able to do the deal successfully. I was able to, I never even looked at the property, like physically, never walked into it. I got pictures of it, and then one of my power team members went to the property, scoped it all out, took pictures, took video, and inspected the property. Now remember, they already knew what they were doing, so that is very helpful. And that also brought the trust and the confidence back into my life. I was like, okay, great. Then, again, let that person take control and putting the trust in them. Then with the attorney, making sure the contracts were good to go, wired the money over to the attorney's office, boom, boom, boom. All done on the front end, great deal on the close. Then we turned around and sold the property, literally less than 30 days. And I know that's a common thing in the real estate industry, do things in 30 days, but this actually took us 3 weeks. It took us 3 weeks to turn around and close the deal, and we made a $32,000 profit. Now that was awesome, but here's the most important part. After that deal closed, I made sure that as soon as my money came into the bank, that I wired the money over to my business partner who helped me find the deal. Because remember, like I said, my business partner or my partner on the team had an issue with getting other monies from other people. So I made sure I fulfilled that promise, because that only built the trust between me and that partner to help me find more deals going on to the next one. So I hope you learned something from this story, that you too can do virtual real estate investing. I'm here in the island of the Azores in St. Michael, and I'm literally doing deals from here. I've only been here like 1 month, and I've already closed like 5 deals since I've been here. And you can too. Let me tell you one thing before I sign off here on this video. No matter where you are in the world, no matter what current situation you're in, you too can do this business. There is nothing stopping you other than yourself and any stinking thinking that's in your mind. If you got some stinking thinking, you got to put some new knowledge inside and change the way you're thinking about your life and the way you want it to be. And I can guarantee you'll get some good results. See you real soon.